This takes a lot of work. We have a lot of volunteers here tonight, and if you guys could stand up, the volunteers, we want to recognize you, because you guys are awesome. It would not happen without these folks. I think I'm dancing out by accident. So we will move towards recognizing our sponsors shortly. As you can see, we have some amazing sponsors. Fat Ducks, you are an associate, Susan, of Fat Ducks, so that was very nice of them to sponsor. Lynda.com, we're so excited they're here tonight, and they'll be giving away some things later. Tech Jobs LA, that's Noel Saw. He helped pay or make arrangements for the chairs. We needed 175 more chairs, and both Dan and Noel helped get that done for us. Usertesting.com, Vitamin T's here, and Right Scale in Santa Barbara is connected to us right now. This is a joint effort, and the first time we've ever done it, so keep your fingers crossed. Then we'll talk about community announcements. We'll open up the floor if you guys have jobs, things like that you want to talk about, events coming up, maybe we don't know about, you can mention them then. And we'll move to the most important part, Susan. And we're going to do a Q&A with Barbara, Santa Barbara, and they are working on that. So, and then the book signing at the end. There's going to be a book drawing. Susan has been so kind to give us 5 signed copies of her books, and we have some other giveaways too happening at that time. And then we'll move next door to Bodega and break down the space. Yeah. Okay.
Do we want to open it to the floor?
These are hashtags, you guys. They're also posted on the meetup site, so you can get them. But please do tweet. Do Stuff and LAUX. We can follow those. And they'll show up over here. And there's Susan, yay! So she will be speaking to us later. And this is her latest book, the one we'll do the drawing for. Lynda.com is giving away 2 premium memberships for 1 month. One will go to Santa Barbara, and one will go to somebody here. Bodega's next door. And then we couldn't do it without our volunteers. We had people setting up the event space, people at the welcome desk, taking photos, doing social media, live tweeting today, video services, Google Hangout unicorns. That would be Jason. And also our counterpart in Santa Barbara. And now for sponsor announcements. So would Vitamin T like to come up and talk, and also Lynda.com? If you want to. So here we have Lynda.com.
Hi, my name is Lisa Hathaway. I am a recruiter with Lynda.com, and we were very happy to be able to sponsor the event tonight. And I hope you all enjoyed all the food, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Oh, they can't hear you. Just bring it a little closer.
Is that better? Did you hear any of what I said?
No.
No, I was just saying we were very happy to be able to sponsor the event tonight, and I hope you all enjoyed the beverages and the food. We really appreciate Crystal and all that she does for the UX community. We do have the giveaways there, so I hope that whoever wins the membership enjoys it. If you have any questions about Lynda.com or about positions with us, please don't hesitate to ask. We do have right now a senior UI developer position, and we have a senior UX position. We will have more positions through the year, so please, by all means, if you're interested, come and get a business card, and I'm happy to talk to anyone about questions or through the year or as your job search may change.
Thank you for coming down to Santa Barbara and the area of the Any other sponsor announcements, Vitamin T? Anybody want to speak? No?
I
No.
was going to have Cole do it.
What? Oh, okay. Here's Cole.
Hi everybody, nice to meet you. Yeah, we work for Vitamin T. We have a couple people over there. Some more people back there, lots of UX, UI, front-end dev, mobile, obviously too. So we are all night handing out business cards, hanging out with you folks. So come find us and let's find a way to work together.
And also, I see a number of people standing. We have empty chairs throughout the space. So if you guys who are kind of in between those open seats would let people come in, that would be great. You don't have to stand throughout the whole event. Cross Campus, one of our most important sponsors. We wouldn't be the size we are today without them.
So thanks for coming. It's awesome to have this meetup group here because it's not just the largest meetup group in cross campus, it's the largest meetup group in LA, it's one of the largest around. So it's great to have you guys come out and participate. Real quick, show of hands, how many people have been here before? Awesome. Awesome. So for those of you that haven't, and I'll be really quick, Cross Campus is a collaborative workspace. It's a place to help people who build things that try to get people to do stuff, new stuff, innovative stuff. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've gone through this process successfully, unsuccessfully, and hopefully built an environment that helps support you in your endeavors. If it's something that sounds interesting to you, grab myself, grab my associate Blair, Simona in the back. We'd be happy to tell you more, show you around, welcome you in for a day so you can work out of the space and see what it's like yourself. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much, Dan. It's been a real true supporter of our group and our growth. Fat Ducks, again, big sponsor. We're very grateful to be working with them. Lynda.com. We have a video here that we have to download to play. So maybe we'll do that a little bit later.
You want to do it later?
Yeah.
Can you do it
Right
now?
now?
Yeah.
Okay. You know how.
Maybe not. Let's do it.
Okay, okay. We'll get back to that. And then they provided food and beverages and 2 premium 1-month memberships. One will go to Santa Barbara, one here in LA. And they are currently looking for positions. We will send out these job descriptions to you later, so you don't have to take photos of the slide or anything like that. But they are hiring, and we would love to help them out. And then Tech Jobs LA, that's something that Noel puts on. And the last Tech Jobs LA had free mobile workshops with these wonderful folks here. If you are looking, I think he's putting on another event in the fall, and they're great. Even if you're not looking, you can come to the mobile workshops. They're all free. Usertesting.com, they're so kindly have given us a free web or mobile usability test for everybody here, and this code will also be shared. To do a mobile usability test, I think is awesome. So, and the code is really cute. Do stuff. So, and they also provided food and beverages for us. Vitamin T spoke just a moment ago. We're very excited to be partnering with them again. And RightScale is supporting our friends in Santa Barbara and have sponsored the venue and food there. And then, are there any announcements that you guys would like to make to the community? Any events, any job openings, anything like that? Oh, okay. Oh, Christian, yay! Hi, Christian.
Good. Hello, my name is Christian Sosolans. I work for Hodlook in downtown LA. We are looking for 2 user experience designers, a senior and mid-level, some mix within there. People who are into fashion, into have experience with mobile. If you're interested, come talk to me. And that's it.
Next, you want to come up here? Okay, Adam?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
For the other folks who might have something to say, you want to come up here?
Yeah, hey everyone, Adam Bell from LA Adobe. Just so you know, we have our next meeting happening 1 week from tonight in West LA at the Capital 1360 Cafe. It'll be a very interesting night. If you did not get a chance to attend the Adobe Max conference here in LA a few months ago, we're going to have one of the presenters who was actually at the conference. Yes, you wanted to spend $1,500 to see him. Dylan Rescover has actually done graphic design work for Time Magazine and some other major publications. He actually did a session at Max on graphic design social media for graphic designers. Different type of presentation than you normally get to see at a design type conference. So if you're into social media or if you're into design, that's a great thing to see. We're also going to have Sam Jolly from Sony Pictures Interactive to show off how they're still using Flash. Yes, I said Flash, okay? I said Flash. They still use it. In fact, they just use it on the Smurfs website. So if you go on the Smurfs website, yeah, that's Flash you're seeing, not HTML5. So they're still relevant out there, really. And that'll be 1 week from tonight, same time, 7 o'clock, Capital 1360 on San Marco Boulevard, basically right next to the Tesla dealership in the 405. And if you need more information, just see the guy wearing the logo t-shirt.
What day is that?
1 week from tonight, what's it, 22nd?
Thursday, so it'll be next Thursday.
22nd.
Anybody else? Any announcements? Oh, Hillary.
So, a lot of you probably know what I'm going to say. If you are new to the field of UX, and there are 400 people here, some of you statistically are probably new to the field, you might want to learn more about it. And if you want to learn more about it, you are in luck because in the fall, we're going to be starting up again our program at Cal State Fullerton. It's a 7-course certificate program. It takes about 6 months. It's on Saturdays, so it's good for people who are working, less good for people who have kids at home, but the great thing is that you can do that in concert with your other activities. I think it's a great program. I've been really impressed by how many of my students get jobs, get new jobs, get better jobs after they go through the program. So if you're interested, come find me, or I can point you to quite a few former students if you want to know more from their point of view. Thank you.
Thank you, Hillary. Any other announcements? Okay, one more here. I think this will be our last one.
Hi guys, I'm from Beachbody, the company creator of P90X and Insanity. Please don't judge me by my appearance, but yes, we do have a lot of openings. We have openings for front-end developers, UX engineers, and Java developers. So please visit careers.beachbody.com and or find me, and then we can go from there. Thank you guys.
Okay, Susan will be our last one.
Hi, I'm Susan, and I'm representing the User Experience Professional Association in the LA chapter. We have an event on September 10th, and it's going to be at WeWork, and it's on globalization. We have Kelly Gatto from San Francisco coming down. She's going to be talking about her gestures. She did international study on gestures, and we also have another person, Texton, who is very renowned in the globalization space. So if you're interested in that, please come out and see us.
When is the event?
Great. When?
10th?
September 10th?
September 10th.
Admission fee?
0.
Okay.
You have to pay for parking.
That's fine.
What's in Hollywood?
It's UXPA LA for Los Angeles.
Yes, you can get details at our meetup page.
Yeah. And just one quick announcement, we just launched a community calendar of UX events. This hopefully will contain all of the UX events, classes at Cal State Fullerton, UCLA, all of those kinds of places in one place. And you are able to submit an event. So right now it happens to be hosted on my site. Maybe that'll move. We're working iteratively. So actually the event that they just mentioned, is part of it is already in the calendar. So on that note, we are ready to start the most important part of the presentation. I'm going to hand it over to Alberta, who's going to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Crystal. Okay, first of all, before I introduce Susan, two things. I'm gonna ask all the people who are sitting next to an empty seat to stand up, please.
Yeah.
If you have an empty seat next to you, please stand up. Okay, please, if you could go and fill those empty seats, because we don't want the fire marshal to come in and shut the place down because people are in the passageways. That would be phenomenal. Thank you.
That's how you get people to do stuff.
I know, mommy voice. I mean, I can do works, but this is the mommy voice. You know, I read Susan's book, How to Get People to Do Stuff, right? So the second thing that I wanted to say is I wanted to say thank you to Crystal, because she's always so ready to recognize what everybody else does. But she nobody ever really knows what Crystal does, which is working her behind off to put these events together. So if we can give an applause for Crystal. And now, I mean, I'm at a chance of squealing because Dr. Susan Weinschenk is my hero. I mean, when I grow up, I really want to be her. I got to know her through her website. It was one tip a day on it was what makes them click. It was this phenomenal thing, and when the 100 things were over, I was seriously bummed. But Susan, who most of you know, I expect all of you to know them, has a PhD in psychology. She's an author, she's a consultant, she's a speaker, and she has written several books. Her latest book is right here, How to Get People to Do Stuff, and I gave you a little demonstration. The seats are filled, and her clients are awesome. Now, Susan, I would ask you to tell Zappos, who is one of your clients, to please tell them to give me free shoes for life. That would be phenomenal. But she has really big clients that she works for. But the thing that's more interesting, when we think in terms of psychology, we think about psychologists that listen to what we say and tell us why we're doing that. Susan takes psychology a little further, and she studies the brain and behavior to predict how how people will act. And this is something that, we apply to our job, we apply to UX, we apply to IA, but you can apply to everything. You see, I made a room sit down. So I want to welcome Dr. Susan Weinschenk and to Cross Campus and to the LAUX meetup and Santa Barbara meetup and UX book club. And here's to you.
Hello, LA, and hello, Santa Barbara. So I don't know if I need to give this talk. This is a group who really knows how to get people to do stuff. I'm like, wow, 35 volunteers. I don't know if they need me. We all have stuff we want people to do all day long. You want your boss to fund your project. You want your client to agree to your design. You want your spouse or your roommate to take out the trash, right? There's stuff we want people to do. How do you do that? Well, I want to give you an analogy. I want to show you an analogy. I think sometimes what we do is we do what we've tried before. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So, okay, potato, straw. So if what I want to do is put the straw in the potato, how am I going to do that, right? I mean, I stab the potato and it's not really working. I'm going to throw that one away. I get a fresh one. If I know the science behind it, then I can get a straw to go through a potato, right? And it wasn't really that hard, but I had to understand the science behind it or it wasn't going to work. And that's what we're going to do tonight. I want to have a conversation with you about the science behind how to get people to do stuff. What we know is that there are things that drive human behavior. There are a certain set of motivators that you can use to actually predict and understand and drive human motivation, and that's what we're going to talk about. There are 7 of these. I talk about all 7 in the book, and there are strategies for each one. There's actually 140 strategies in the book, and we are not going to talk about all 140 tonight, because we don't have enough time. But I am going to give you some examples of each of the 7. So, are you ready? Yes. All right. So the first one I want to start with is the power of stories. And I mean this in 2 ways. One is the way that you're probably familiar with. We know that people like stories. What you may not realize is that the brain, there's research that shows us that the brain processes information best in story format. People will understand it better, they'll remember it longer, and they'll be most emotionally impacted by the information if it's in story form. And most of you probably know how powerful stories are. I want to talk about stories in a little different way though, because the other thing that's really important about stories is that we have stories we tell ourselves. We have self-stories. In the field of UX, a lot of times we talk about user and client personas. Well, we have self-personas as well. And these are the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and why we do the things that we do. They're the stories that we tell other people about why we make the decisions we make. And what's interesting is the research is showing us that if you can get someone to change their self-story just a little bit, you have the potential to make huge behavior changes in that person. So let me give you an example. For many years, I was a PC person, right? You have PC people and you have Apple people, right? Long, long time. I'm a PC person. I'm not one of those arty Apple people. No. I'm a geek. I'm a PC person. I purposely did not own any Apple products. I purposely kind of didn't even look at any Apple products, right? Not what I wanted to do. So, my husband walked into my home office not too long ago, and he looked at me and he just stopped and he paused and he looked and he said, "Okay, this is interesting." I said, "What?" He said, "Well, you're sitting in your chair there, you seem to be listening to your iPod Nano, and you're talking on the iPhone, and you have your iPad next to you, and you have something on your Apple TV. What the heck is going on?" And I realized he was right. And here's what happened. It started with an old iPod, okay? The first ones that came out. And my kids had iPods, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I could use it when I get some exercise. I'm going to get an iPod, but then the little voice, it's made by Apple. It's like, well, but it's not a computer. It's just a device for listening to music. It won't hurt me. Little did I know. So I bought the iPod. I like the iPod. That was what I call a crack in the self-persona. I had actually just done something that didn't fit my self-story. It was just a little thing though. But unconsciously that starts to work. Now what happens is we like to be consistent. We don't like our self-stories to not fit our behavior. So now I had an inconsistency, and that was going to work on me, and it did. So what happened next, of course, it came time to get a new phone. Well, maybe I'll check out the iPhone. Right? I got an iPhone. Time for a new laptop. Maybe I should think about a MacBook Pro. And it just went on and on and on and on, right? I mean, now I have the little dongles all over the place, right? I buy anything they make. The ThinkPad is on the very high shelf, right? And this is how these behavior changes happen. So if you need to get people to do stuff, think about one small, tiny action that you can get them to take that won't seem different or threatening at all, but it will create that crack in their self-persona and their self-story. And over time, then you can ask for the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And you can actually have some large behavior changes. By the way, if you like this idea, there's a wonderful book called Redirect by Timothy Wilson, Redirect, which is all the research on this. All right, so that's the power of stories. Oh, I forgot to mention, yeah, the desktop, the big computers at the house, too. All right, next I want to talk about number 2 of the 7. It's called Tricks of the Mind. And I don't know if any of you have read Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow. Has anyone read that book? It's a really great book. And he brings up this amazing idea in the book called System 1 and System 2 thinking. And let me give you an example. So if I show you this, and I ask you to multiply those 2 numbers in your head. Go ahead, try and do this, not with paper and pen. Try and multiply those 2 numbers in your head. Okay, we have a wise guy here who came up with the answer right away. The rest of us are thinking hard about it, okay? That's an example of what he calls System 2 thinking. You got to concentrate. You have to think about it. It has a lot of effort involved, right? As opposed to this, if I show you this picture, and I say, what's this a picture of and what's going on? What would you say? There's a little boy and he looks sad, right? That's an example of System 1 thinking. It was really quick. I mean, did you have to work hard to come up with that answer? No, not at all. System 1 thinking is quick, intuitive, effortless. And the interesting thing is that System 1 thinking, quick, intuitive, effortless, that's our normal mode. We walk around all day thinking like this, most of the time. And because of that, there's some interesting things that happen. I want to share some of these with you. First of all, I want to share with you that, and for whoever's running our Santa Barbara alchemy here, I'm about to run a short movie clip. Give them a little warning there. Daniel Kahneman actually found out that you can tell when someone is doing System 2 effortful thinking. What happens is their pupils dilate. So I'm going to run this video, and I want you to, it's subtle, so you got to really look for it. I'm going to run this video, and I'm asking some questions in the background, and I'm a little hard to hear, so I wrote the questions out so you could see. You'll be able to hear her as she answers. And then watch your eyes. First I ask a question that's pretty easy. It's not effortful, it's not System 2. And then I ask a question that's harder, and that you'll be able to see the pupils dilate a little. And then I ask for a question, again, that's easy. So let's see what happens.
So tell us about one of your favorite TV shows.
Lost is my favorite TV show.
That's from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, ABC.
Okay. And why do you like it?
Because it's amazing. Because it is completely cohesive, like through the entire season.
Okay, I have another question for you now. Different question. I'd like you to name as many capitals of states as you can remember. Name the capital and name the state it goes with.
I don't know a lot of capitals. Okay. Madison, Wisconsin. Springfield, Illinois. Juneau, Alaska. What's that place in New York? Albany. Newark? Is that New Jersey?
What's your favorite one?
I think a koala bear. Because they just hang out and eat a lot of bamboo and sleep.
Okay, so one thing, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but when she got to the end of the capitals, her pupils started to constrict. Daniel Kahneman said he could tell when people had given up, and that he would freak them out a little bit in the experiments, because he'd be actually not in the room, and they'd be doing the task, and and then over a microphone he'd say, "Don't give up now, keep going." And they're like, "How did you know?" So that's just something interesting. By the way, you have to be a little careful with that because your pupils will also dilate when you're attracted to someone. So, you know, you gotta, maybe they're not thinking that hard, maybe they're just into you, right? Okay. Next, I want to mention, as we go through some more of these tricks of the mind, that most mental processing is actually, all this stuff we're talking about, it's happening unconsciously. I mean, I think some of the most exciting work in psychology has been in the last 10 years as we have realized that most stuff that you're thinking about, most decisions you're making all day, every day, is going on unconsciously, which is actually kind of weird, because it means, you know, you don't even know what's going on. Right? You know, nobody knows. It's all happening unconsciously. Here's some more of these experiments, and I want to talk about a thing that is something interesting that's actually a challenge for those of us who are in the field of UX or usability. Here's a puzzle problem Daniel Kahneman would give people. In a lake, there's a patch of lily pads. Every day the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long would it take for the patch to cover half of the lake? When he shows this to people and just asks them, most people say, the majority of people answer that it's 24 days. Actually, the right answer is 47, right? Now, you guys, I have to tell you, you were on alert, you know, because you know I'm going to trick you. So. But Daniel Kahneman found that most people would make the quick answer, and they wouldn't think it through, except when he would show them the same problem in a font that was hard to read. When he showed them the problem in a font that was hard to read, they got the answer right, which is kind of counterintuitive, right? Why they get it? Well, here's what we know. When something is easy, System 1 just, you know, if they think it, System 1 thinks it's easy, it goes ahead and answers. When something gets hard, like it's hard to read and now I have to concentrate, System 1 essentially says, this is getting a little too hard. Hey, you, System 2, take over. Yeah? And then System 2 reads the hard-to-read font and therefore comes up with the right answer. So, am I telling you to use hard-to-read fonts on your designs? No, I'm not going to say that. But it's an interesting idea that if people are making really important decisions and you need them to think carefully about what they're doing, you may want to do something kick in that System 2 thinking before they just keep rolling along in System 1. An interesting problem. We also know that humans do this weird thing. They anchor on a number, any number. It's kind of random. So for instance, if I say there's a sale on soup and there's a limit of 10 cans per person, I've introduced the number 10, and your brain is going to anchor on the number 10. If I said instead, there's a sale on soup, but I didn't mention that there was a limit, then there isn't a number that you're going to anchor on. When I say there's a limit of 10, the average number of cans that people buy is 7. And when I don't mention a limit, or I say there's no limit, the average number they buy is 3. Just by introducing a number, I set a mental anchor point. So if you have 3 levels of service that you provide, which way, and you want people to buy a higher level of service, you want to get as much revenue as possible, which way should you advertise it? Should you advertise it this way, or should you advertise it this way? Top or bottom, what do you think? Top. And the reason is, I see the $55.95, and I go, oh, $55.95, I don't know, what else do they have? Oh, $35.95, hey, that's pretty good. $15.95, wow, that's really good. If I show them this way, I go $15.95, oh, not bad. Oh, $35.95, that sounds like a lot. $55.95, forget it, right? Because I've anchored on that first number. Here's Global Giving, which is a nonprofit. They're trying to get donations. Have they done this right or have they done this wrong? Wrong. They're going to tend to get, people are going to anchor on that 25. 50 sounds like a lot, 75 way too much. They should have 50. So this is an example of anchoring and another example of tricks of the mind. Okay, number 3, instincts. So we know that there are, I want to talk about the brain for a minute. I want to talk about the new brain, midbrain, old brain. And those of you who have read some of my previous books have heard me talk about this before, if you've read my blog. I had an interesting moment. You know, I try and customize my talks for the audience, and I had thought one time that I had done a pretty good job at that. I was going to speak at the Mayo Clinic, and I realized that I had left this slide in. And there were like neurosurgeons in the audience. And it's like, okay. I tried to get by it really fast, you know. Neurosurgeon. There are 3 parts to the brain. It's a little bit oversimplification, okay? But we have the new brain, which is, up here. And actually, you know what? They handled it just fine, And they were very friendly. They didn't call me on it. But the new brain, it's called the new brain because it evolved most recently. And that's where we do our conscious thought, our logical thought, our system 2 thinking was on there. But we have these 2 other parts of our brain, the midbrain and the old brain. The midbrain is where social and emotional information is processed, and largely unconsciously. And the old brain is interested in our survival. The old brain, it's called that because it evolved longest ago. We share the old brain with mammals and reptiles. Sometimes it's called the reptilian brain. You may have heard that. So the old brain is constantly scanning the environment, and it's asking, can I eat it? Can I have sex with it? Will it kill me? It's kind of all the old brain cares. So, when we talk about instincts, that's the old brain. So the old brain, you want to grab someone's attention, 3 things to do. You can show pictures or give food, right? Because the old brain goes, food, survival, yes, I need food. You can imply something sexual. So I can just go back and forth like this. You're not listening to anything I'm saying. Okay? All right, we better move on. Okay. Or danger. That's the 3rd thing. So food, sex, danger. That's going to grab our attention. That's going to get us to act. And with danger comes a whole host of things like fear, fear of losing. These are instincts, very, very powerful. If you use any of these in your messaging, in your photos, at a website, for instance, we know that it will grab attention. We know that we'll be able to influence people. There's also some subtle effects of this. So this is a study by Sheena Iyengar. It's called the Jam Study. And it's interesting. She set up tables at a grocery store. Sometimes she had 24 jars of jam, and sometimes she had 6 jars of jam. And she wanted to see 2 things. One, how many people would come by and taste the different flavors. And she found that when there were 24 jars of jam, 60% of the people stopped and tasted. When there were 6 jars of jam, only 40% of the people coming by would stop to taste. So 24 jars was better than 6, right? Well, some of you are going, no, I've heard this story before. Okay, you're right, it wasn't, because look at how many people actually purchased the jam. Okay? So 60% stopped, but only 3% of them purchased. Versus 40% stopping, but 30% purchasing. So here's what's going on. And there's the reference for that, Sheena Iyengar. We know that when we offer too many choices, people don't choose anything. This is an example of a museum site, and they have 71 different online exhibits you can go watch. This is 1 through 20. It's like, huh? What? Too many choices. But we also know that people like choices, right? How you guys, you do UX work, you have clients that you work with. Have you ever asked, said to them, well, okay, so we have to narrow down how much we're going to put on the homepage. So what are we going to put on the homepage? And then what do they say? Everything. It's like, well, that won't be very effective. It's too much stuff. People won't be able to choose. Put everything on, right? Have you ever heard 7 plus or minus 2? That's the number of things we can deal with and remember. That's actually a myth. The true number is 3 to 4. Lots of research that shows that people can only deal with, can only remember 3 to 4 things at a time. And yet, everyone likes a lot of choices. And it's the old brain. It's your instinct that is causing that to happen. The old brain says choice is equal to control, and control means survival. So I want lots of choices so I can have lots of control. So that's something you have to, it's a continual fight with the clients. But sometimes, if you show them the stuff and you show them some of the research, you may be able to convince them. The other thing that's interesting here is that people are more motivated by the possibility of loss, the fear of loss, than they are by the possibility or anticipation of gain. Sounds a little counterintuitive, but it's true. And again, that's the old brain is afraid of losing. So this is then all about instinct. All right, number 4, carrots and sticks. And we have another one of our videos coming up here.
Fate takes 3 seconds. 3 seconds that hold you between the past and the future, where imagination can run wild and take adrenaline along for the ride. Your moment is waiting.
Do you see that pupil dilation? Which was not real, by the way. We were just in Las Vegas right before we came here. And Las Vegas knows about rewards, carrots and sticks. The casinos are masters at knowing when to reward you and how much to reward you and on what schedule. So for those of you who perhaps studied psychology in college, you might remember B.F. Skinner and operant conditioning and schedules of reinforcement. And in the book I describe this all in great detail. I'm not going to describe it in a lot of detail here, but I want to mention that there is a science behind this. So if you use rewards to get people to do stuff, if you do this, we'll give you a reward. If you sign up for our cloud service and invite your friends and they sign up, then we'll give you, 250 gigabytes free space. I mean, that's a reward. If you're going to use rewards, you have to understand that the kind of behavior you get and whether they work depends on the science behind the schedule. When you are trying to get somebody to do something brand new that they've never done before, you have to reward them every time they do it. It's called a continuous reinforcement schedule, but only until you've established the behavior. And then you've got to back it off, because what gets the most consistent behavior is called a variable ratio schedule, which is what the casinos use. So when you push that button, on the slot machine, what happens is that sometimes you win and sometimes you don't, and you don't know when it's going to be, when you're going to win and when you're not going to. That variable ratio schedule gets the most number of button presses. So the way rewards work is, there's a behavior you want, like I want my kid to get A's on their report card, and then there's the reinforcement, I'll give him or her $5, and then the idea is you'll get more of that behavior. And then, casinos do the same thing. You can do the same. You want your colleagues to turn their reports in on time. When they do, you praise them, and then you'll get more reports on time. So it does work, but it's probably one of the less powerful of the techniques I've been talking about, and some of the ones I'm about to talk about before we're all done. So I would suggest to you, if you're thinking about rewarding your clients for doing this or doing that, I would suggest that not be your first idea. Use some of these other things we're talking about, the power of stories, instincts, and some of the ones I'm about to talk about later. And rewards definitely work, but some of these other things are much more powerful. I do also want to mention that rewards, which is the carrot part, is really different from punishment. And one of the least effective things that you can do is punish someone. Think about this for a minute. With operant conditioning, there's a behavior I want more of, I give you a reward and I get more of it. Punishment is the opposite. There's a behavior I want less of, right? And so I give you something you don't want in the hopes that you'll do that behavior less. Doesn't work very well. Probably one of the least effective things that you can do is use punishment. And that counts for your kids, your dogs, your cats, your spouse, everything else. All right. So a little bit about carrots and sticks, a lot more than that. We're going to do this one next, but actually before we do this one, I need 7 brave souls to come up here on the stage with me. And it won't hurt, and it's actually kind of fun. So we have 1, I need at least 7. Come on up. We got 2, we got 3, we got 4, we got 5. Whoa, don't hurt yourself. Oh, all right. All right, good. This is great. Yeah, if they get a hand, come on up. Yeah, you can come. All right. So guys, what I want you to do, over here on the table, so just give us a moment. Okay, over here on the table, I have lots of noise-making things, okay? I have, like, drum things. These are kind of interesting because, you know, they make big noise. There's even little one. There's a cowbell and a stick. Go ahead. There's shakers. So come over here and pick a noisemaker. Go ahead. There's something, enough there for everyone. Being very polite, aren't they? More cowbell. More cowbell. All right. And don't be afraid to make, you know, big noises around. All right, wait a minute, hold on. All right, everybody got something? Yeah. All right. What I want you guys to do is drum. Go ahead, go for it. Guys, by the way, there is a step over here if you don't want to like kill yourself coming off the stage. So, what did you notice?
Are we done?
You're done. You're done. You did great. Anybody, what did you notice about what happened? They synchronized eventually, right? It took them a little bit of time to synchronize. I want to talk about the need to belong. And I want to talk about a couple things around this. So, we have an inherent need to belong to a group. We want to be social, we want to belong to groups. We're social animals. And that was one example of that, right? Because at first they were just playing and they were probably a little nervous. And you could see them like looking at each other. And they were also looking for a leader. You may not have realized that, but they were like, who's going to be the leader? Whose beat are we going to, take it? And finally they kind of found the groove and they synchronized. So this is, the good news is that people want to belong to a group. They are willing to change their behavior to be part of the group. You need to encourage that to happen, and you need to make sure that the group that you're trying to form is something that they are interested in belonging and that they feel like they could be part of that group. If they feel like they're outside the group and they can't be part of the group, then that's not going to be motivated. But they will inherently want to be part of the group. The other thing that's interesting about what just happened is that we actually know that when people do a behavior together that is synchronized, whether it's drumming, dancing, singing, clapping, if they're doing something in which they are synchronizing their behavior, it actually releases a chemical called oxytocin in the brain. And oxytocin is the bonding hormone. And it will actually bond the group. So we expect to see that group like standing over there all together now, after the talk. No, but it will bond the group. So if you want to bond a group, see if you can have them do something together synchronously. That will bond the group. It's one reason, by the way, why it's sometimes harder to bond a remote team, because there's very little opportunity to sync together. Syncing is so strong that if you put someone in a room, there's research where they would put, experiment, come in the room, we're gonna take you in for an experiment, have a seat here. And in the room would be someone on a treadmill working out, who was part of the experiment, of course, and the experimenter would say to the person sitting, oh, you and Joe, you guys have the same birth date. And they'd meet and shake hands, and then Joe would go back to on the treadmill. If the experimenter told the person that they had the same birth date, then the person sitting in the chair, their heart rate would start to go up and meet the heart rate of the guy on the treadmill. Okay? That's how much we just have this inherent need to bond together, to be like each other. So you can use this to get people to do stuff. Some of it is strong, some of it is quite nuanced. This is from the University of Wisconsin. They're doing some kind of alligator cheer or something like that. There are, I don't know if you can see them, there are thousands, tens of thousands of them doing the same thing synchronously. Oh, didn't want to go that fast. Let me just tell you some more about Gregory Walton, who did the treadmill. One thing he did was he would call people up the night before an election, and he would say, how likely is it that you're going to be a voter in tomorrow's election? Sometimes he would say, how likely is it that you're going to vote in the election? If he used the phrase, be a voter, those people were much more likely to go vote. In fact, 11% more likely to go vote. So what this is that there's, by using a noun instead of a verb, it makes people feel they're part of a group. So instead of having a button at the website that says donate now, what should it say? Be a donor. Instead of having a button that says join, it should say be a member. Right. So something even as subtle as that can change behavior. All right, we are up to, let's see, we are up to number 6 on habits. So we talked about B.F. Skinner, and I want to now make a plug for someone who came even before B.F. Skinner, which is Ivan Pavlov, the Russian, from the early 1900s. He's the one that did the work with dogs. Have you heard about this before? Stimulus response. So you show a dog some meat, and they salivate. And then what he found was that when the experiment, he was actually studying digestion, by the way, nothing to do with psychology. But he found that if, when the worker came in to feed the dog the meat, they had a bell on the door, the bell would go off, and before too long, if the dog heard the bell, he would salivate, right. So the bell became the stimulus, and the response was salivating. Why the heck am I talking to you about dogs salivating, right? Because I want to talk about habits. So in the book, The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg, which some of you maybe read, he talks about habits. And we have this idea that habits are hard to create, right, and hard to change. You've probably heard, in fact, in one of my books, I actually wrote about how it takes 60 days to change a habit. And this is the problem with writing books, because now I've learned that's not true. I've got to go back and change it. It doesn't. I mean, think about your day. You wake up in the day, a huge percentage of everything you do is habitual. Where you put your keys before you walk out of the door, the way you drive to work, how you brush your teeth, the order in which, do you brush your hair first or do you brush your teeth first? When you get to the office, what do? I read my email and I go get coffee and then I say hi to Jane. it's habitual. We don't even think about it. So how can habits be hard to create when most of what we do every day is habits that we don't even remember creating? So it turns out habits aren't hard to create if you know the science behind them. So I want to share this with you. And this actually comes from, I think the best place for this, I have the URL in a second, is BJ Fogg, called tinyhabits.com. I really encourage you to check out that website. It's amazing. Here's how you do it. You have a stimulus and a response, like Pavlov. But in BJ Fogg and Charles Duhigg, they call the stimulus the cue. So you have a cue, and then you respond to it. So for instance, I wake up in the morning, that's my cue, and my automatic response that I do already is I brush my teeth. So if you want to create a new habit, pair that response, make that response become the new cue, and then pair up with the new behavior. So now I'm going to create a new habit when every time I brush my teeth, I'm going to take my vitamins. It's like miraculous. I really want you to try this. Go to the website, you can sign up, he walks you through what to do, and he has you choose 3 tiny habits that you want to create to see. And he says it'll take a week. I have found it takes no more than 3 days. But the trick is, they have to be small things, okay? This is not, and now I am going to, I don't know, totally stop eating meat and eat a vegan diet, okay? I mean, that's like not tiny. So you have to start small. So it has to be something tiny, and you have to find a habit that you already have to attach it to. So if you want to get someone else to do this, because, I mean, you want to get other people to do stuff, not just you, right? What you need to do is help them. Find for them, talk to them and say, I'd like you to do this. It would be easy if it were habitual. What are you already doing that we can attach it to? If you're trying, you can even do this online. Think about what your customers are doing at the website. What do they come with your web app, with your mobile app? What are they used to doing that's a habit? Now see if you can attach something to what they already are doing. So there's got to be an established habit in order for it to work. Okay, that brings us to number 7, the last one. And I mentioned before when I was talking about carrots and sticks, how some of these things are more powerful than others. And I think the desire for mastery is one of the most powerful. And if you want to get people to do stuff, if you can, we have an innate desire to learn new skills, learn new knowledge, improve, get better. We're curious. I mean, how much do you have to convince a toddler or baby to walk, right? I mean, they will eventually start walking. They want to walk. They want to learn how to master it. And we're all that way, actually, about almost everything. But if you want to stimulate that desire for mastery, there's some things you need to do. I mean, think about games, right? I mean, how hard is it to get people, people who are really into online games? I mean, did you have to drag them kicking and screaming to get them, to play StarCraft? I mean, right? They just want to do it, and then, in fact, you got to drag them kicking and screaming to get them to stop, right? They want to do it. Why is that? Well, games actually incorporate a lot of what we're talking about. Probably incorporate carrots and sticks, reinforcement, etc. But a lot of it is just that people want to get that skill. They want to get better. They want to get better and better and more knowledge. There are things you can do to encourage that. So one thing is autonomy. In order for people to have a desire for mastery, in order to encourage that, you have to give them some control over what they're doing and how they do it. If you create an environment that is too regimented, then it kills the desire for mastery. So you want to give them autonomy, give them control. And another thing you need to do is give them feedback. Let them know they're making progress. Let them know how far they've come and how far they have to go. It is that sense of progress that keeps them going and wants them to keep keep doing more and more and more. So out of everything that I've talked about, I would just to let you know which of the ones I think are the most powerful most of the time. It does depend on the situation. In the book, I have case studies, I have lots of examples, so you know when to use which one. But in general, the most powerful ones are the power of stories, tricks of the mind, instincts, the need to belong, and the desire for mastery. When I'm looking for something, I will usually start with the power of stories, the need to belong, the desire for mastery as the top three. Those are the ones that, if I can apply those, I know they're going to be the most effective for getting behavior to change. So, we're almost done, and it's almost time for Q&A. So I hope you guys are thinking about questions that you might want to ask, and Santa Barbara as well. Before we finish, though, I like this quote by Dwight Eisenhower. Motivation is the art of getting people to do what you want them to do because they want to do it. So that's a great quote. For ideas about how to learn more, obviously I'm going to recommend that you read my book, and this is the book we've been talking about, and some of you I know are familiar with some of my other books as well. And I also want to mention about my courses that are at udemy.com. I've become a huge fan of online learning. I think that it really fuels the desire for mastery, and so I have jumped into those waters as well. So that's it, and I'm ready for any questions that you might have.
Okay, we're going to start off with Los Angeles. So if you have a question, yeah, stand up and get towards the aisles. I'll come and meet with you, and we'll take your question.
I was just told I have to keep it really close to my mouth. Okay, my question is a design question, and about buttons. There's now we got to be able to make them 3D, but now there's a trend to make them flat.
Yes.
How's your feeling? Should we follow the trend to make it flat, or to really get people to still do things, do we need that 3D button aspect?
Yeah, and so this isn't, this is a question not about motivation, but a question about perception, right? So it's actually not one that's covered in the newest book. But it is true that when a button is 3D, it gives the impression that you should push it in. And so there will be a slightly more tendency to push it. Having said that, people become, there are trends that come and go, right? I mean, we actually had a lot of flat design before. We didn't call it flat design, we just called it like bad design. Now it's like flat design. So just wait a while, and the 3D buttons probably will come back. From a human factors point of view, it would be better to have the 3 dimensions. But I know when I say that, then I come across as being not hip.
Okay, great. Oh, let's take some questions from here. Can you work your way over this way, and I'll send the mic that way.
So you talked about getting people to change habits by changing habits. By, for example, you said if I want to take my vitamins and I want to make that more habitual, I should put it next to brushing my teeth, maybe. So how do we use that kind of information when designing apps that we want to change people's behavior or encourage better behavior? Because the use of an app is not really tied to other habits during my day. It's just, maybe I browse apps while I'm sitting on the bus, or maybe it seems more random, and you have to consciously think, I'm going to use this app right now. So.
Okay, well, I guess I would say that although it seems random, it's not really random. Because there are habits we have. I mean, I'm guessing for most of you, if you know, when you get on a train or when you get on a bus and you reach a certain point of, you know, boredom and, okay, I'm on the train and it's going and I know where I'm going. It is, I mean, you reach in and pull out the phone without even thinking about it, and you probably have 1 or 2 apps that you go to that are your I'm bored apps. Right? I'm bored, so I'm going to go see what's going on Facebook or Twitter or etc. So, although it seems random, I think we do have these habits of when we use apps and how we use them. It's tricky, but you will want then somehow to tie the two together. So when you have, you know, for instance, if you were an app developer and you could tie your app to another app, so that's something I see in Facebook makes me then, right, go check that other one out. I mean, that, right, because we know that people are checking their Facebook all the time. But we can attach to that, right, then we know. So it's tricky, and then you may not know, but it's certainly worth doing the research on, for the target audience I have. What other apps are they using? Or what else are they doing with their phone? So that I can now make a connection to that and start to suggest to them that, oh, when you do this, oh, look, go do this, you know, check this other app as well.
Great, thank you so much, Susan. We're going to take one from Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, okay. This is, we now have the voice of Santa Barbara.
This question is from Jim. Do you have an example of a startup or internet company that has implemented any of the 7 techniques?
Oh, yes, I do. It's a little problematic because, I mean, this, okay, you guys are not going to believe me, but it's like I'm under a lot of NDAs, especially with startups. So they'd have to kill me, you know. So maybe, you know, hopefully in a while, maybe I could even write about some of the ones that I've worked with. I was actually talking to one of my clients who is a startup, and his phrase was, "Oh, this is very manipulative, but in a good way." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I like this sounding that or not." But I do. A lot of my clients are startups and small businesses, and yeah, they are very. I think because I mean, you know, it's a wonderful time for startups. There's also a lot of competition. And so I think they're very, at least the clients I'm working with, are very savvy, and they want to do anything that they can do in order to encourage people.
Okay, we'll take another one from Los Angeles.
Hi Susan, I want to thank you for the great talk, first of all, and thank you for having this. You talked about 6 jellies and 24 jellies, that example you provided.
With the jars of jam, yeah?
Jam, yes. How do you create an analogy with respect to homepage of a website, an e-commerce website? An e-commerce website would have promotional panels, tiles. So would having more number of panels lead to more conversion versus having less minimalistic design or minimalist design?
Yeah, I mean, in general, the guideline is that less is more. So if you want people to take action or make a decision, you want to try and keep it to 3 or 4 things. And in reality, people are only dealing with 3 to 4 things anyway. If you have more than that, they're looking at the first 3 and deciding amongst those. Maybe they'll take that one, oh, this looks interesting, and maybe they'll compare that with a few more, maybe not. So, you know, although you think more is better, and although they might initially say, this is the other problem, of course, you know, in our field, what do? We do user testing, and we interview our customers, but then we have to realize that what they're telling us is not really the truth, right? Because their decision process is unconscious. If you ask them, why did you pick that one? They will make up a reason, And they'll think it's the real reason, but it's probably not the real reason. So it's one of those things, yeah, less is more. I would have 3 or 4 at the most. If you need more stuff, then, you know, that's what we have information architecture for, right? Give them that first set of decisions, let them pick. Now we take them to another place. You know, the whole idea of the scent, right? Let them keep going, let them keep having progress towards their goal, and the number of steps they have to go through is okay, because it becomes an easier decision than being overwhelmed by too many choices.
Okay, here's another question from Santa Barbara. This one is from JJ. She says, these motivations seem to be focused on a direct outcome like sales, action, etc. Any thoughts on how these factors might be considered in a software as a service product?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of work with software as a service, and I think it all holds. I mean, basically, you have to decide. You know, there are these interaction moments, right? And sometimes I think we spend a lot of time thinking about the overall design and the color scheme and the layout and the navigation and the information architecture, and those things are really, really important. But we really need to focus on the moment. So there's going to be a moment when there's many moments when people are doing something and they want to do this, and you want them to do something as well, which might not be the same thing. And so what I ask people to do is, you know, you have to decide what's the most important thing you want people to do at this moment. What is it? And maybe it is buy something or register or sign up. Maybe it's just, you know, start the app or use it or enter, you know, today's data in or whatever it is. What's the most important thing you want them to do? And then you have to make your design decisions and your motivation decisions around that one thing. What happens a lot is we don't agree and we don't know. And we design our pages and our apps and, you know, so they'll be able to do this and this and this and this, but we haven't focused on right at this moment, what do we want them to do and what's the best way to get them to do that?
Great, thank you so much. Los Angeles, anybody? Okay, some hands in the back.
Hi. You talked about the power of stories. Could you give a specific example, like kind of in a step-by-step way, with the target behavior, and then help draw me a picture of how I would tell a story to get them to do that, or what you meant by how that story is powerful? If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so let's say that I have a new software as service. We'll use that as an example, and I want people to sign up, and I can give them lots of information about it, or what I can do is I can craft a story that of a person who has a need and a desire, and I can tell that story of how they would or did use this particular software service to accomplish what they needed to do. And by telling that story and showing how the person has a problem, and then they find out about this service that they can use, and then they try the service, and here's what the service did for them, and here's the result, right? I tell it as a story. I am now, you know, that's going to be really powerful. I'm going to communicate the same information as if I said, here are the features and benefits of what our stuff is going to do for you. And I'm going to communicate it in a much more powerful way. And because of things like mirror neurons and the fact that people imitate what other people do, and all these other psychological reasons, it's going to be much more likely that the person reading that story, or even better yet, watching a video of that story, is going to say, oh, that looks good, that resonates with me, I want to be like that character in the story. Did that help?
Yeah, are there key things inside of a quick story? Usually it's like
Yeah, I mean,
seconds,
there's in order for a story to be effective, right? It needs to have a character, right? It needs to have a character that the person listening to the story can resonate with. There needs to be a problem, a trial, a problem, and then there needs to be a solution, right? And we need to see the hero, the character, rising above it all and having this wonderful solution. So yeah, there's a whole arc to the story, and if you've just this is kind of basic kind of storytelling plots. Nancy Duarte in her book Resonate does a wonderful job of kind of talking about there are themes. There's the hero's journey, right? And there's kind of basic stories that are out there that every Hollywood movie, right, is made out of one of the basic stories. So if you just kind of check out what's the basic kind of stories, that would give you a good idea of how to follow that arc. But basically, it's a character, and the character has a problem, and the problem gets solved, and the character's happy.
Thank you so much, Susan. And we'll take one more from Los Angeles.
Hi, I would like to get your opinion on, there's a new tendency to create long scrolling pages versus when users do a lot of clicks, because we think that the more clicks, the more user commits to your thing, right? So could you please tell me what you think?
Yeah, this is like the flat buttons versus the 3D buttons, right? So this is, there have been some hot debates in my office around this very topic. So first let me state that from a research point of view, from a human factors, performance, perception point of view, there really isn't anything wrong with clicks, guys. Clicks are not a problem. We talk about motor loads, visual loads, and cognitive loads. So when someone clicks, you're making them do a motor task. And motor tasks are not particularly hard for humans to do. Visual tasks are a little harder, and cognitive thinking memory tasks, those are the hardest, right? That's system 2 thinking. So we don't want to make people think too much if we're trying to make it easy. But, click, that's usually not a problem. Scrolling, horizontal scrolling, still a no-no, okay? That's been bad for a long time, and that's still bad. Yeah, that's not particularly comfortable. Not as bad as it used to be, but still not good. Vertical scrolling, people will vertical scroll. Is it better for them to not have to vertical scroll? Yes. Is it better to have them push a button, then vertical scroll? So the research on this is not clear, especially with now our tablets, right, where we're using, literally using our fingers. So we're not using the mouse necessarily to scroll. Scrolling and moving around with the fingers is pretty easy to do. And so we decided at our website to try it out. So any of you who have come to our website in the last couple of months may have noticed that we have one very long scrolling page. And that's the whole website. So we're experimenting with it. And I don't know, if people don't like it, I'm sure we haven't seen our analytics change drastically, like everybody's abandoning as soon as they get there. So I think it's working out okay. But, it's one of those design trends. I'm experimenting with it. I don't think there's definitive research that would say you don't do it. But, there's always the fold, right? It's always better when it's above the fold.
Here's another question from Santa Barbara. This one is from Courtney, and it's about global giving. So she's asking, do people think differently when they're making a purchase versus donating?
You mean because we saw on that global giving site and we had the $25, $50, $75. Well, I'm sure that people do think, they have different feelings and motivations when they're thinking about donating versus buying. But that idea of anchoring on a number, it does not matter. It doesn't matter if you're donating, it doesn't matter if you're buying. It's still going to be an anchor, you're still going to react the same way.
Okay, and I think we might have time for one more.
One more,
okay. So the next question is from Josh, and he is saying, with regards to the techniques that you shared, the 7 drivers of motivation, how do you draw a line between ethical and unethical usage?
I was wondering when we were going to get this question. I always get this question. It's such an important question, actually, that I address it in the first chapter of the book. And I don't have any good answer. Now, but let me talk about it. So, it's an interesting question, right? What is, like my client who said, oh, this is really manipulative, but in a good way, right? So is that okay or is that not okay? And where's that line? And I don't have a definite answer for you, but I have some ideas about it. So first of all, there is a line between encouraging people to do what you want them to do and committing fraud. Okay? I've done some work for the FTC as an expert witness for internet scammers who are out there and they are successfully bilking people out of, just normal everyday people out of millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars because they are purposely doing things at their website so that someone does not understand what's going on, is signing something they don't mean to sign, doesn't realize what they've just agreed to, okay? And in my book, that's not okay. That's not ethical. That's not trying to get people to do stuff or trying to motivate people to take an action. That's just trying to scam them. And so in my head, there's a line, and I know where that line is. I think it's important if you're going to use any of these techniques, to think about where is that line, and I think it's kind of a fuzzy thing. So some people say, well, you should only use this stuff if you're getting people to do things that are good for them. Like quit smoking, take the bus to work, Well, okay, good for them or good for society or good for who, right? To me, it starts to get really muddy. And then, what does that mean? All advertising and marketing should stop? I mean, how many companies try to get you to buy a refrigerator or a car or join their app? I mean, is that all bad? I don't think so. So it's tricky. It's tricky. But I think if you have to ask yourself, the thing I'm trying to get people to do, is it really going to hurt them? Is it going to, are they going to be committing to something that is going to hurt them or committing to something that they don't realize they are committing to? Then I think you have to, put on the brakes. I think it's a great question. I don't know that we have the answer to it yet. I guess, if the internet scammers buy the book, I'm going to see them on the stand as an expert witness, I guess. Right? So I want to thank you guys very much. It's been a wonderful night.
Thank you so much, Susan and Santa Barbara, for joining us. We will now move over to the book signing. We're also going to show a video from lynda.com that we didn't show earlier, and we're going to have a